What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Choose Your Legends 2 weapon refines that we have got this month. And I'm going to be going over my review of them and also some of the builds which you could run with these new weapon refines. So with that said, let us begin.
Pierce the sky, Maltet!
Brave Hector, in my opinion, is the absolute winner of this patch because he has got an insanely good weapon refine. And this also changes the primary effect of his weapon. So he did have -1 special cooldown on his weapon, and he still does, which is really great. And he has even better quick riposte now, where he just needs to be above 25% health to get it. And now he essentially has Sylvalan Shield built into the primary effect, so he doesn't really have armor effective weakness, which is really great in a metagame like this where Legendary Chrom, Idun, and many armor effective weapons are just so common. And the last primary effect of this weapon is debuff negation, so he's not really going to be getting affected by any kind of penalties on him, which is really great because, you know, debuffs are super common nowadays, and it's especially a very huge thing for Ether raids where he would have gotten targeted by chill attack or dark shrine or stuff like that. So he simply does not care about any kind of debuffs on him, which is absolutely fantastic. And we have not even begun with the weapon refine part of his weapon, and that's just how insane his weapon refine is. The refine condition is super easy to trigger, so it's always going to be active in the enemy phase. However, if you want to use this in player phase, then you need to make sure that the HP of the foe is at full. So if those conditions are met, then at start of combat he inflicts -6 attack and defense debuff on foe during the combat, and the foe cannot make a follow-up attack. This effect is incredibly good because these are in combat debuffs, meaning that they can stack up with visible debuffs, and they just make Hector even more tanky and just let him hit harder. The -6 attack debuff is going to be working out for both of his defenses, so he can have much better resistance because of this, and he also prevents any foes from making double attacks on him, which is really great for his longevity. And that is an amazing thing for a tank because he is quite slow. He could have gotten doubled, but now he will not because of this weapon refine. So this weapon refine is absolutely stacked with so many effects that it makes Hector one of the best armor units in the game, and even one of the best tanks in the game overall. So he's kind of like Brave Ike of this patch. He doesn't really have the damage reduction of Brave Ike, but still he has got so many things which are just so useful for tanking in his weapon that just makes him such a threatening and super solid unit. Now, he does have his weakness. Even though he does not have armor weakness anymore, he's still super susceptible to null follow-up, so that's always going to be an enemy of Hector. However, Hector could just get so tanky, so stocky, and he can retaliate back with powerful specials that even null follow-up units might not be able to do the most amount of damage to him, or might just get one-shot by him if he can retaliate back with like a powerful special. So Brave Hector is easily the best lance armor present in the game, and easily one of the best armor units in general in the game because of this weapon refine. And now let us go over some of his builds. For the budget builds, you could run Armor Mart Sacred Seal, which we're going to be getting this week from the Tempest Trial. You could run the default Slotsy skill which he has got, or you could run Attack Smoke, which can stack up with the in-combat attack debuff, which you could do with Maltet. So it's just going to be adding to his stockiness. And you could run Ignis or Bonfire, and he can be an overall really good mixed phase unit with his default build with Bold Fighter. Now if you want to invest a bit more into him, then you could definitely go with Special Fighter. So Special Fighter is for specializing in the enemy phase. He's already such a good tank with his weapon, and with Special Fighter he can basically get the breath effect and also stop the special charges of the foes, which is extremely useful. So Special Fighter allows him to retaliate back with a powerful special like Bonfire, which is going to be devastating with his high defense. He can also run Soul if you want to have some self-sustain, because he can do quite a bit of damage already. So having a bit of self-sustain with something like Soul is going to be really good because you're going to be able to retaliate back with Soul, do a lot of damage, and heal quite a bit of HP. And you could also run Ether on him. Now the thing with Ether is that he's going to be triggering this on his final hit, which means that he's not going to be able to recover the most HP, but this could be good to, you know, do a lot of damage and also heal up some HP in the process. And finally, you could just use him in Arena with a high scoring assist skill, having Ether, and he can of course make use of Panic Ploy because he does get extra HP from this weapon refine, so that's of course really useful. And Armor Mart Sacred Seal is going to be really nice too. Now you could definitely run specials like Ruptured Sky, which will allow you to instantly retaliate back to something like Legendary Chrom and do a lot of damage. So, you know, he can still deal with Legendary Chrom quite well and pretty much the best out of a lot of the armor units present in the game, because he doesn't have the armor weakness anymore with the Weapon Refine. So it's just a testament to how good Brave Hector's Weapon Refine is when he's able to easily face off against one of the top threats in the metagame. You could also use him in Ether Raids, so you could run him as an Ether Raids offense tank with Special Fighter. And Special Fighter in Soul is going to be allowing you to retaliate back with Soul, heal a lot of HP, and Pellet Smoke is really important. And even though he doesn't have the armor weakness anymore, he's still an armor unit with 1 movement, and he can be a bit hard to move around in Ether Raids. So that's why using him in the light season is going to be a bit better, because Peony can provide you with the orders buff, and both Peony and AR are flying units who can run stuff like Guidance to help him out. And he can also run Special Spiral and Ether actually if you run him with Brave Lucina. So once Ether is set up with Special Spiral, he can instantly retaliate back with Ether, which is going to be able to one-shot a lot of things and heal him a lot of HP thanks to Brave Lucina's support. And if you want to use him in Ether Raid's defense, he can also be used as a frontliner. So Bonfire is going to be allowing you to retaliate back with it. You could also run Ignis with Quick and Pulse, so it can definitely be pretty solid in that role too.
By Milla's grace!
When Brave Celica came out, she had a lot of competition in the Sword Infantry category, and her weapon and the preferred skill Double Lion didn't have the best synergy, and Double Lion, you know, was not very consistent. However, this Weapon Refine fixes up that problem of Brave Celica and makes it more synergetic with Double Lion skill that she has got. Her primary effect, which gives her special cooldown on her hits, is always going to be active in the player phase, which gives her a lot more flexibility where she can function independently away from her allies to just Gale Force. So that could always be done, and this also works in the enemy phase if she's within 2 spaces of an ally. So this can work in both phases, and that is just really good for flexibility. Her Refine is extremely easy to trigger, where she just needs to be above 25% health, and she's going to be able to get free stats, which is +5 to all of her stats during the combat. So that definitely brings her up to the new Sword Infantry units that we have got with updated BST. So this is really good, giving her extra stats. And after combat, she also gets special cooldown count -1, and she also restores 7 HP. So this is like a mini Special Spiral, I guess, or like mini Bunny Fang from Yarne basically. And this allows her to be a pretty consistent Gale Force unit, I would say, with Double Lion. So she could easily trigger like a 5-turn special like Gale Force with the help of this. And the self-healing which she gets is similar to Mystic Boost, where she heals up after the combat. So she can always have Double Lion active if she didn't really take any kind of damage in that combat. And many times she's going to be able to just 2-shot units with Double Lion and not really take any kind of damage, so she can just have this active. The self-healing is absolutely amazing, and with her preferred skill, this makes her a monstrous player phase unit. But she can also work in the enemy phase because she's quite flexible with this Weapon Refine, and she does have pretty high speed to be a Spurn Repel tank, as you will see. And she also has self-sustainability with the healing that she can get after the combat. As for her builds, these are the budget builds. Even her base build is quite good. Now with this Weapon Refine, she can be a pretty nice Gale Force unit. You could replace Attack Tactic in Slot C with something like Defense Smoke, which can allow you to get even better damage output and even take out some really tanky units. If you don't really want to use Gale Force and you need more damage output, then you could definitely go with a special like Draconic Aura or Luna with a double Deathblow build. And if you want to invest a lot into her, then you could definitely run Swiss Sparrow 3 or Sturdy Impact in her slot A. The thing with Sturdy Impact is that she is going to be able to quad attack with how fast she can get. With Swiss Sparrow, the extra stats that she gets from Royal Sword and at max investment. So the point is to just make her tanky so that she doesn't take too much damage when quad attacking certain stocky units which are not going to be going down to 2 hits. So Sturdy Impact can give her really good bulk, and she could use a premium skill like John Drive Attack. And you could absolutely use her in Ether Raid's offense in both seasons really because of her color. So in Astro Season, you could use her with a damage reduction skill like Spurn, and of course have Pellet Smoke or Attack Smoke in Slot C. And she can use Noontime, which can provide you with reliable healing, along with the self-healing that she gets every time from Royal Sword. So it's really good for self-sustainability and for her longevity. You could also use her in Light Season with something like Null Follow-Up. Null Follow-Up is really nice for facing stuff like Bramimons and for Blazing Durandal Eliwoods, which are just super common at +10 merge. So Celica could deal with them by having Null Follow-Up, and she's quite fast to make use of it.
By Garm's might!
Brave Ephraim gets a solid weapon refine. Garm was always a pretty nice weapon which can give him auto double, but now it can do even more things and make him a much better unit, which is exactly what he needed as a axe armor where the competition is just so fierce. So now the primary effect of his weapon also has half of Null Follow Up, which allows him to double through Wary Fighter, impact skills and stuff like that, and the half part of the Null Follow Up also allows him to run Wary Fighter and still double, essentially creating an Omnibreaker effect, which is really amazing. So now he can have a bit of a different playstyle, even though he already came with Special Fighter. With this half Null Follow-Up effect, even Wary Fighter is so much more viable now, and in many scenarios it's actually preferred over the Special Fighter build that he usually runs. So the Omnibreaker effect that he's able to achieve with the primary condition of this weapon is really amazing for a tank. The Refine gives him free stats just like it does to Brave Celica, and he also has in-combat healing. Now this is different than Brave Celica. Brave Celica recovers HP after the combat, and Brave Ephraim can heal HP during the combat per hit. So it's kind of working like Minty Cane Plus, so he could heal up 14 HP if he double attacks the enemy. So this allows him to have really good self-sustain. Just like Brave Hector, facing Null Follow-Up units is gonna be pretty annoying for him. And that just goes to show you how good, Null Follow-Up is in this metagame. It's not the easiest skill to get, but whenever you're going to be facing it with him, it's going to be really troublesome. He's still going to be having competition as an axe armor, but he's just much better in the competition now. The main rival of him in that category is basically going to be Brave Edelgard, who just came out. For his budget build, you just want to run Sturdy Stance. And for special, you want to run Ignis if you're running Special Fighter, and if you're running Wary Fighter, then just run Bonfire. As I said, Wary Fighter is so viable with Brave Ephraim now with his weapon refine. It allows him to have the Omnibreaker effect, and something like this could be useful even on budget in something like Arena Assault. And of course, if you want to invest seriously into Brave Ephraim, then this encounter is by far the best Lottie skill that you could run on him. So there are just the combinations that you could do with this encounter, run Special Fighter with Ignis or Ether, or just have Bonfire and Heavy Blade to trigger Bonfire in a single round of combat with an Omnibreaker build. You could also run Ephraim in Arena as a Wary Fighter tank, and you could have a low turn cooldown special like Ruptured Sky. Brave Hector can just take on armor effective units easily, while Brave Ephraim is still going to be taking the effective damage, but still he can definitely perform pretty decently well. He can also be run in Aetherite's offense as a Wary Fighter tank. As I said, Wary Fighter is actually much more preferable in many of the scenarios, and this is one of those where he's able to have the Omnibreaker effect, and this kind of build is really good for facing like Bramimons and stuff like that, because Bramimon is not going to be able to double him, and he just allows him to be a pretty solid tank. If you run him with Brave Lucina, he can just retaliate back when noon times, and just be a really good super tank in general. Pulse Smoke or Attack Smoke is of course going to be useful for his tanking capabilities.
Just like my brother.
Brave Veronica has rather tame weapon refine compared to the other Brave units. She doesn't really have too many effects on her weapon. Her primary effect stays the same, but still it's a solid weapon refine for the best overall healer of the game, and I do understand why they didn't really give her a lot of effects, because she's already just so far ahead in the race of healers. So even this kind of effect is going to be pretty solid for her support capabilities. So she essentially has Defense Res Rain, which is active within 3 spaces, and she also has Drive Attack Speed, which is also active within 3 spaces. So she's got a huge 3-space range, which makes it pretty easy for her to support with this. And the stat swing that she could do with this weapon, with all of the effects combined, is just super amazing. Essentially like plus 11 attack and speed, and plus 7 defense and resistance to the allies, which is just super solid with the healing that she can provide, and with the mobility that she has got of a horse unit. For her builds, it doesn't really change too much, really. You know, just for budget, you want to run speed plus 3, and if you want to invest more into her, then attack speed push 4 is by far the best skill for her. And you could definitely experiment with stuff like Joint Drive Attack or Joint Drive Speed and her slot C, but she could do well with Double Savage Blow as well, as she usually does it. And of course, in Aetherite's defense, she could be used with Restore Staff, so that she can act as a restore trap, because debuffs are super common in form of shield skills, Temari debuff and stuff like that. So she can be pretty potent unit in that regard as well, with restore and miracle. So those were the weapon refines of Chooser Legends 2 units, which are super popular and which many people have invested into. Brave Hector is by far the best one with this weapon refine, as I said. Brave Veronica could be considered underwhelming by some people, but I would think that it's really not that underwhelming just because she doesn't have a million effects on her weapon like Brave Hector. She's still solid at what she does, and as I said, she's already one of the best healers, if not the best healer overall in the game, so she's still quite strong. It's nice to see a unit like Celica gain relevancy basically with this kind of weapon refine where like the competition is just so fierce in sword infantries. And same thing could be said about Brave Ephraim. He doesn't have as many effects or as many things he could do like Brave Hector as a tank, but still he's much better and much more viable than he was before. So let me know in the comments which of these weapon refines are we going to be refining the first or going to be using the most. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please be sure to share this video with your friends who are interested in refining one of these units. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their support. It really means a lot. And if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the armor weakness of Brave Hector. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.